So welcome this afternoon to Open Heaven Ministries. Thanks for having me. My name's Jeff Sparks. If any of you are visitors, some of you know me, some of you don't. And just great to be with you today. Suzette sends her regards from Papua New Guinea. That's right, isn't it? Flew out yesterday. And I would rather be here than in PNG. You think this is hot? And I've actually said to my wife, who's invited to speak over there, I actually don't want you going. I like being married to you. I want you to come back in one piece. I know from talking to Pastor Rory Jensen, it is a dangerous, dangerous place. Do not underestimate. Port Moresby is an out-of-control, dangerous place. People are murdered every single day. It's not a place you go to in the spirit lightly. So let's right now reach into the spirit, put a hedge of protection around Suzette and anyone else who's working with her and her team. Father, we reach in right now. We thank you for the very angels of heaven being around about Suzette right now, Lord God. We're not primarily praying over effective ministry. We're praying over angels of protection, Lord God, over her, safeguard her from every demonic attack. We take authority over the witchcraft that operates in that area, Lord God. People have committed themselves to that, Lord God. But today, we lift up your servant Suzette, who's committed to you. We ask your anointing, your protection, your hand to be upon her today, Lord God. And let everything she does and then break through with power and demonstrations of power that bring a shift and a change to that nation. Let the witchcraft ruling spirits be broken over that area, Lord God. Let there be breakthrough. Let the agendas be shattered. And let God be glorified. You demonstrate the principalities and powers that they don't rule. Jesus rules. He's already made an open show. And today we put you higher than every principality and power. We declare your victory, your authority, your triumphant entry over those principalities and powers. We say thank you that Jesus rules. You don't rule. Jesus rules in the affairs of men and in every affair in heaven. And all of God's people say, Amen. Praise God. I am excited and blessed to be with you today. And I just felt it was a time to share with you, as it is already stirring in many of our hearts, that as we prepare to cross over into 2019, and although we have our natural calendar year, we call it the Greek system, but we'll call it the calendar year. For us, we have stepped into a new Jewish year, which the beginnings of that Jewish year, which I know Suzette teaches on it, so I'm not going to cover that. But in a sense, the first thing we do when we enter into the new year there is we go and rend our hearts to make sure we're not in error, carrying across the line into the new year the things that we've not dealt with in the previous year. And I think we touched on that in a previous time that we've been together. And so there's that sense of like rend your garments, rend your heart, we're about to cross over into the new things of God. And it does require for us to put aside previous mindsets, previous understandings, not in the sense that we haven't earned. And it's a little bit like we would go through school or university where I'm not throwing away what I learned in the first year of my degree. I'm adding to what I learned. But however, I need to move it out of the way. It's time to learn the new thing to add to what I had before in order that I would go from glory to glory to glory, isn't it? We don't dismiss what we've learned. In fact, one of the great misconceptions we got about one of the parables of Jesus around the pearl of great price was that he went out and sold everything he had in order to buy the field that contained the pearl. That did not mean he threw out the old. And a lot of times, throw out the old wines. He actually, what he did was he reinvested everything he'd ever earned, everything had ever become valuable. He reinvested that into the new thing that was being uncovered by God. And he shifted his investment, everything he had. He said, I'm willing for this to be in this form, to be transformed into that which I'm discovering. There's a pearl of great price that's been prepared for me. It's been hidden from me in previous seasons, but right now I'm coming the ability to possess the pearl that represents the great price that Jesus paid. We pay a small price, he paid the ultimate price. But each time I consecrate myself to the new thing, I get an opportunity to align myself with his giving nature, with his sacrificial nature, and enter into the new thing that he's got by paying a price to enter in. In fact, there was no breakthrough in the Old Testament. There was no victory in war very rarely did it not come out that the king or the prophets would come out and say, consecrate yourself from this day tomorrow, you're going to have breakthrough. Because God is saying, I'm going to do this, and I don't want you labeling it your victory. I don't want you labeling it, well, I earned this. I don't want you labeling this, well, I paid a price for this, I deserve this. He's saying, consecrate yourself. Rip that self-centered stuff off. Rip that sort of like it's me focus off, and rend your garments so you can stand on the holy ground so that he can perform a miracle. Why aren't we having miracles today? Because most of the time we've already written the script ourselves for how God's going to move the way we expect and what it will look like. And he's saying, rend your heart. Not throw away what you've learned, not devalue who you become in God, not self-abasement, but true humility. God, no matter what I've got, it's nothing compared to what you've got for me. No matter what I've done, it's nothing compared to the greater thing you take me onto. God, no matter what I've experienced, there are greater experiences you have for me. And today I'm being offered opportunity to prepare myself in such a way I can come into the new thing. Not by self-abasement, not by the flesh. Remember, no man thinks his own flesh. We've got to ask God. It says rend the garment, but only God can put the flesh to death. I prepare the house, I break off the old wineskin, as it were, but he alone can put my flesh to death. I was so blessed by a lot of what Robert Henderson shared, you know, the way he prays for brokenness in his life, and he prays for that contrite heart, realising, he said, it's a gift that God gives, that gift of brokenness, in order for us to have the heart that God can place honour and blessing on. And I got so much out of it. In fact, I wrote out his prayers in longhand, and they're a part of my daily prayer routine, praying for many of the things that he brought. I thought it was just tremendous the way he brought so many great things out. So greatness is that is, you know, aligned with such a man, such a ministry that, you know, has really got such a value on the presence of God, and, you know, and no matter how much we unpack of understanding about God, it's how much we're experiencing God that makes a difference. So when we talk about crossing over, even when it came to look at, say, Moses, where he came breakthrough after breakthrough, there was a test or a request. God's request is not very gentle. There was an expectation from God that whatever came before the next opportunity was passed. So regardless of what we've learned, we talk about a fresh consecration in order that there would come a fresh anointing. And that fresh anointing will not operate until there's a fresh step of faith. You'll never know what you've got till you put it to the test. How many people have changed jobs in the last 12 months? Not many. Wow. Okay, I come from a different background. How many people changed jobs in the last 3 years? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, if you were to change jobs, even though you qualified in the interview and you qualified in your previous job, we all know the pressure of expectation of qualifying again in the new environment. We know what it's like. It's like, I know I can do this, but now I've got to show them I can do this. And somehow we become very self-aware. But we don't get the authority or the respect until we actually take our skill and we put it to work. And we don't get the breakthrough in the Spirit until we take what we believe we received in prayer and we bring it out in the open to bring results. I've met so many people, in fact, I've met people who have actually written books, and I'm not talking about my brother who had this great breakthrough, but we've met people who come and say, well, I've got this manuscript, I'm just marvellous at teaching on such and such. You go, what do you do? Do you pray for anyone? Oh, no, I'm waiting until my teaching is accepted. Do people get healed? Do people get saved? No, but I've got this great... So like, you don't have anything till you can produce something. I'm sorry. God's very practical, isn't he? You have what you can produce in this dimension. That proves what you've received in the spiritual dimension, doesn't it? If you have here... Jesus said, I just do these works because I'm in the Father. He's proof of, if you want to see the Father, haven't you seen what I've been doing today? People are getting healed. People are getting set free. People are getting delivered. People are coming into breakthrough. People who were enemies of God and enmity with of God now have rent their hearts and turned and got saved. He said, you want to know what's happening in heaven? Look at what I'm doing on earth. And we've got that expectation from God that He says, you don't put in secret. You don't take your lamp and hide it from the city. You don't take your salt and stick it in the warehouse. You salt around you. You are to be salt and light. You are to bring a change, a shift, a demonstration of your power. And even in regards to salvation, I remember an evangelist teaching, that lambs in the natural lamb twice a year. They give birth to new ewes twice a year. So even at the least level, you and I should be leading 2 people a year to Christ. In our, say, work, your neighbourhood, wherever it might be. At least 2 people. And we know by the numbers of multiplication, 2 equals 4 becomes 16. Everybody knows somebody. So 2 weeks' time, I've got a friend I've been working on at work, and I pretty much had the salvation conversation with him already. And he's already told me he's thinking, and he's coming to church with me Sunday morning. I've arranged friends to join me, take him out to morning tea, at the brunch afterwards, and make him feel comfortable and what's the environment. He's quite a shy person, so he just wants some one-on-one. But I'm very aware that what am I answering to God for what I'm doing with what I've been given? Let's have a look at Psalm 84, verse 5. Psalm 84, and we'll start in verse 5. Blessed is the man whose strength is in you, whose heart is set on pilgrimage. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a spring. The rain also covers it with pools. They go from strength to strength. Each one appears before God in Zion. They passed through the valley of Baca. The valley of Baca was not intimating a pleasant place. It was a place of bitterness. It was a place where things were sorrowful. It was a difficult place. We are meant to pass through the troubles of life, not hoping to circumnavigate them, because that doesn't lead to reality, does it? We will go through troubles. Jesus said, in this life you will have troubles. But don't be discouraged, because I have overcome the world. In other words, I've lived in this life. I know I have empathy with you for what you're going to go through, and I'm going to lead you through and out of every circumstance you go into. But you will pass through the valley of Baca. And many people, and we're talking about this in the context of moving into all that God has for us next year, which has already started. But many people are actually taking up camp in the valley of Baca. We're stuck where we were meant to process and find the grace of God for transition and change to come out of the other side. Many people have become stuck in the valley of Baca. And many people you would think of around your friendship are not even here in church today, because they're actually fellowshipping around the valley of Baca today. They have a number of things that they would tell you if you press them for what's happening in their life. They go, well, this went wrong and that went wrong. Well, it's not actually past tense for you. It's still happening, because it's become something that's limiting. And this process in the valley of Baca, the scripture says here that those who go into it with God come out the other side of this place of weeping with a deep spring in their life. They pass through, they discover what God has for them to discover. And they come out with a deep spring. A healed heart becomes a wellspring of life. A heart that knows how to get a hold of God in the most difficult of circumstances becomes a wellspring of life for us. And Scripture says it's no good drinking out of a cistern that brings both foul and fresh water. So if I haven't actually dealt with the things that might trap me in Baca, I might be able to recite some things that I'm doing well at, but then there's a whole group of other things that have got a hold of me, and they're doing well at holding me back. So Scripture says here that the person who goes through this, because there will be trouble in life, can find the presence of God, the impact of the Holy Spirit becoming a wellspring of life inside of them, until they actually change that ground to which they can bring the very presence of God. And that maybe today, and you might say, well, look, my experiences have not always been that way. I have pressed in difficult circumstances. And I feel like most of the time I've got through to the other side of my trials by my own strength. Not that I wanted to come through on my own strength, but some of us would say, I actually felt like I passed through alone. And I understand that. I understand what it's like. As a young person, when I was saved, I had a compulsive, addictive personality, they called it. Which meant that anything you threw at me that filled the hole inside of me, I would take up. If it was violence, if it was alcohol, if it was drugs, all of those things, whatever I touched, I overconsumed. Every relationship I burnt out. Because nothing was going to fill, without Christ, was going to fill that need to get rid of this pain. To validate my life. And when I got saved, I understand what it's like to deal with addictions, where we actually have to journey, where God does not come in and wave the magic wand and go, right, today this is just going to disappear from your life and you will be mature enough to handle that in the future. He knows that it doesn't work like that. He is more committed to my maturity than my comfort, isn't he? So in that, many of us have gone through difficult circumstances where he says, I will be with you in the valley. He has not said, I will lift you out of the valley the moment you step foot into it. And none of us like to come and bring the pain and the contradiction and the desperateness of those things and to have to go, today, God, I am going to get up and I'm going to get out of bed by grace. Because in myself I can't. Today, God, I'm going to smile at people who ask me how I feel because I don't have it. But by the grace of God, I'm going to do it. I actually went through quite a stressful time. As a Christian, I went through bankruptcy and divorce and homelessness in a very short period of time. And I was working at the time, and I used to measure how I was getting through my circumstances. Well, I would go from my desk to the toilet, and I would pray until I could get out of there and come back to my desk and work again. And on average, I would last about 15 minutes before I go back and pray for a few minutes. Go back to my desk, and go back and pray, and go back to my desk, and back and pray. Until I eventually got to about half an hour. Unfortunately, God was pretty good at a cloud over me. People didn't come and harass me. Why is this guy never at his desk? But it was desperate circumstances, and I believe that God was actually sustaining me through it. But I got myself there because I failed to deal with the whole stack of things in my life that I should have dealt with. He did not abandon me, but he also didn't cover over the things I didn't address. He was not going to say, Jeff, I'm just going to let you off that. You treated these people wrong. You have a rotten set of attitudes. You've got a ton of unforgiveness. You're not really yielding to me, although you might read the word, you might ask for help. Everywhere you could apply the truth, you're taking shortcuts, hoping I'm going to let you out of the gate early. Around this problem, around this valley. Maybe we don't need to navigate through that. Many people are trying to work out how to go around the valley of weeping. Go around that valley of trouble. We've all sat there all night, some of us, till morning. At that stage of my life, I was sort of basically awake till 4 or more in the morning, just under the stress of what I was going through, and I might get an hour or two sleep and then go to work the next day again. And I don't mean for a day or two, I mean for 2 months. So I know what it's like to be called to account when we dodge what we really need to face up to. It all comes, it's never shifted, but it's all at our feet. And we're now wearing the consequences of that. And God is still just as gracious to us, but He's asking us to go and admit where we are or where we're stuck and go, I need you to go back and deal with what's got you stuck. Because your future is not secure if we don't deal with this. Now, I often pray with mothers who come to me when I chat with my wife, ladies in the meeting, or the men, as around in most churches. And they'd not all, but many would come up and say, would you pray for my son? He loves the Lord, but he's just a long way away from the Lord. which meant basically this kid doesn't want to think about God. And I would say to mothers, I said, I know you have a mother's love, but let me tell you what God has done for me. He will let you go down in the pit deep enough, long enough, far enough, that when you get a hold of him, you never ever let go again. That's what he did for me. He was faithful for me not to let me out until he knew I would never ever let go of him again. And that was the biggest cry in my heart. It wasn't my immediate deliverance. It was, God, just don't leave me like this. Don't leave me here. And I would say that to mothers over and over, because really, it doesn't matter what I go through. It matters where I finish up. I don't mean that, making little of what we could learn along the way, but what I mean ultimately, if I've learned to fall on my face before I get into those traps now, I have the greatest gift he can give me, because I won't let go of him. And so some of us coming into this new year, there's some things that we have half dealt with. Limitations. We go, well, look, I always thought that would change. And any season that is coming to us is going to involve some reflection. So when we look at the process of the Jewish New Year, we look at a process that says, stop, selah, think about deeply and reflect on. Where are you at today? Ask yourself a few basic questions, which I'm just looking for. What has affected me? How has it affected me? And how did I react to the incident? See, if I can throw myself at the mercy of God, he owns me. And he owns everything that I'm currently carrying. But if I am trying to sort it out, dig my way out of that hole, not admit that I'm in that hole, not ask for help about being in that hole, he does not own me. I own me. Well, actually, the stuff that's got me owns me. I don't even have a say in it. But you won't go and serve God or the devil. No, we either open the door to God through grace, or we open the door to the enemy, which leads to bondage. And for you and I, wherever we feel we are unfruitful, we need to ask ourselves, is my unfruitfulness a reflection of something I just won't deal with, that I won't admit this is the way God wants it done, and I'm continually trying to talk him into doing it my way? Maybe it's just a timing thing, mate. It's got nothing to do with issues in your life. God will lead us there until he gets to the level of maturity that can carry what he wants to give to us. But the other side is sometimes we are there by self-appointment. I'm keeping myself there. I'm holding myself in those things. And I know he wants to lift us up. He says, in this world there's going to be trouble. You're going to experience great disappointment in this world. People are out for themselves. There are people masquerading as whatever in the church. There are people that will disappoint. Most authority figures in your life and my life will disappoint us. But Jesus said, don't be concerned about the outcome of that, because I have overcome. Don't be concerned about will you come out the other side, because I have overcome for you. And I've done the journey so you can do the journey through me. But he's asking us to self-evaluate. What is it? Maybe that is holding us in that place. We can't stop difficult things happening to us, and you can't stop life happening around you. We are not to blame for what happens to us. The little child who's the child of an abusive alcoholic parent is not to blame for the rejection by their parents. You are not to blame for maybe some of the debt you carried in your early working life, because no one ever mentored you for 5 minutes on how to handle responsibility. You are not to blame for those things. But if those things are still limiting your life, and maybe you've even come to a point of compromise where we mould our opinion of what can happen for us around much lowered expectations, because I'm not really believing anymore for God's ultimate best. I've settled on is something that I think I can achieve. That is actually to reject the counsel of God, isn't it? It's like saying, oh, I'll just live with cancer. As long as we leave each other alone, it'll be all right. It's not going to happen, is it? It's a murderous thing that the enemy wants to do to each and every one of us. And we remain at his access point if we don't deal with those things, where we have gone into a weeping season but not found true freedom coming out the other side. Sorry, this is a bit of a heavy word, but it's like I just see so much freedom, and in praying it through, the picture the Lord gave me just as I was thinking about this word was a child there with a large, almost a steak-sized splinter, and the father's got the arms round, trying to reach in and pull this piece of wood out that's now infected and inflamed. And we're sitting there going, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's their fault. Not allowing the Father, it's like the end of it all. Focused on, first you need to understand, before you heal me, God, you need to understand they were wrong. That was wrong. That was unjust. That was unfair. He's going, I already died for that bit. You shouldn't be holding unforgiveness. I gave that example already. What I'm trying to do is love you and heal you. So there's some areas where I'm not saying we're walking around hurting other people, but where we are still in unforgiveness to others, that will be a limit over our life. But in reality, what we're more likely to be doing is doing Christianese. I'm lowering my expectations. I'm moulding God around my humanity. Who came in humanity to show me what living as God would do. But I've actually done the religious thing and transformed it the other way, that I'm going to change God back from divinity into humanity, and so now his standards are going to be what I think I can live for. We invert the whole revelation that he came to give and go back to religion. Personal interpretation of how I can live for God outside of him, living for God. We make the promises of God ineffective in our life. And we become stuck in cyclic behaviour that ensures we actually get more and more ineffective. But I love this psalm. I find this incredibly, excitingly empowering. It says that the person who passes through, I'm going to read. Blessed is the man whose strength is in you, whose heart is set on pilgrimage. You need to know that the valley of weeping is a pilgrimage you are meant to come out the other side of. The person has already addressed their thinking, they've already addressed their pain. To go, I am going through this journey. I am set, my heart, my attitude, my expectation. I'm pilgriming through this season into a totally different season. But not only that, I expect to come out of the darkness with the treasures of darkness. That's what's referred to in the scripture. He gives us the treasure of darkness. How did he give it to us? Because he is not afraid of sending us into darkness to discover the light. He is not afraid of paradox. He's not afraid of contradiction. It's about time we as a church stop getting mandy-pandy answers to things, and we're starting getting more and more comfortable with the fact that God is not going to do it my way. He's going to offend me in order to save me. He's going to break me in order to heal me. He's going to free me in order to send me on a mission. No, I am not my own. Bought with a price. But every time I take control over the journey myself, I am knocking out the possibility that he might have already paid the price for me to live for him. I am aghast to think that in doing so I personally offend the one who died for me to show me what it looks like to live with him. So I pull him down to the level of my failings, my experience, that made him ineffective in that area. Not in all of life. But as we look at next year, as I said, God's not going to preference our assignment over our maturity. He has no problem developing both at the same time. But you will not press in your assignment because people need you when He knows He wants you in heaven with Him forever. We already have the role models of men like A.A. Allen, a phenomenal healing evangelist in the 50s, who died a desperately broken alcoholic while ministering the greatest miracles ever seen. Because his soul was so broken. And he went through torturous things as a young man. But he still died a broken-hearted man. What good was his assignment to him? C.T. Studd, the pioneer of the missionary movement, was a drug addict. The pain that he went through, morphine was handed out like Panadol in those days. And he was addicted to morphine. Even to the point where when his wife and family wanted to come and visit him on the mission field, he wouldn't even make the journey a few hundred miles to meet with them. We have these records in order for us to know the tracks that have been set for even the strongest of us. So I need humility even more. I need to be real even more. Because the things out there are so real and they are winning. Because I'm not using my weapons of humility, of brokenness, of taking the same attitude as in Christ. He took the quality of God, something not to be grasped, but humbled himself. And in doing so, received the greatest empowerment that's ever happened in all of creation. That in a man in bodily form, the fullness of the Godhead was placed. And he said, this I pass on to you. And it takes 2 minutes reading in the second chapter of Ephesians to know we are not meant to live as ordinary people. But these things will keep us there. So it's important that we understand that moving forward, we will have to revisit these things. That God will still be working on our preparation for our assignment. God's still going to do that. But He's going to be working on our maturity as well, and the prioritising. If there's a fork in the road and our maturity is not ready for our assignment, the loop around the mountain will be due to maturity, not due to us not knowing our assignment. It's His call, it's His purpose. He's established by the counsel of His will what you and I are going to move into. He will have us ready on time if we are willing. So if you're going, I'm being delayed in my assignment, it's not by God. That's tough, and I've done 40 years waiting. But in terms of, I got a word before I got saved. I've yet to fulfill. But I recognise I'm starting to really know who He is. And I'm starting to see. See, I think it's so profound. I loved our worship today. Thank you. And there's a song that's really impacting on me at the moment. And one of the lines is, I want to know your heart. We say that fairly freely. But most of the time I say I want to know God. But if I say I want to know someone's heart, I take all of the head stuff out of the way. I take all of what's happening in my life. If I come home from my busy day, and I arrive home, and I had this habit that comes and goes, and I should get better at it. But I said to my wife, when we first get home, we travel in different directions. I work during the week, she works weekends. So the first 5 minutes, I just want you to sit on the couch next to me. Just sit next, let's hold hands. Because otherwise we will do the daily routine. What have you done? What's for dinner? What are we doing? Want to go for a walk? I do not connect with her heart. I'm just going to do life. What a cheap version of life that is if I don't learn to go, hang on, really, how are you today? I don't mean we're going to pull out the greatest saga of my life, but what I mean is I really want to know that I found your heart. Because I can just go straight to the stuff that keeps me moving. What a lower way to live than to actually be motivated by heart. That 5 minutes has so impacted our way we have all of our dialogue for the rest of the night. It's shifted. And every time it goes the wrong way, I go, we forgot to do that again. And it's not a religious thing. It's a heart thing. I want to know your heart. And it came, no, I don't want to sound like a hero here. It came out of my wife's request because I hid what I felt for so many decades. I hid what I felt. I was being the responsible one. I grew up the oldest child of a single parent family and a male. But they get to be surrogate spouse, they get de facto spouse, they get to be the over-responsible one, and then they rebel like crazy and start to smash up everything in their world because they hated being that person. So it's easy for me not to be real. It takes a deliberate valuing of it to say, I really want you to know who I am. One of the things that shifted a lot of that in my life was how I process the negative things that I'm still carrying. And there's how many of you have heard of contemplative prayer? So you sit there and it came out of the desert fathers and the people that had some phenomenal times of literally of the presence of God. It wasn't about miracles or healings. It was about when they were frozen in trances in the middle of the streets in their cities for days and weeks at a time. People would put drops of water on their tongue and it would steam off. So much for the fire of God burning away on them. It was just phenomenal. But it was about the presence of God. And one of the things that, as I started to pray around that way, just trying to find greater intimacy and park my head to discover His heart, there's been a thing called welcoming prayer. And I mentioned before about being stuck with things like addictions. When you've got an addiction compared to you just dealing with unforgiveness. So if I'm dealing with unforgiveness, I make a decision right here and now I'm going to forgive, whether I feel emotionally like it or not. And I make that decision, and each time the old emotions are established that were put in there with unforgiveness come up, I go, I have forgiven that person, I can keep forgiving that person, I'm not taking it back. So that's how we deal with things that are in that way. But when we deal with things that are actually woven into our personality, those things are in the deep roots of us. They do not come off. So dealing with addictions or behaviour patterns, how we treat people or how we put ourselves at negative spins, requires us to actually appropriate the presence of God at a deep-rooted level in our soul and in our spirit, so that changes within us. So when we do welcoming prayer, it's quite powerful because it shifts us out of the head way of doing things. So if I'm pitching myself before the Father and I have something that has got a hold of me and I'm trying, so say we call it anxiety, could be rejection, could be abandonment, could be whatever. And so rather than going, here God, I give it to you, would you give me, your presence as I exchange this? Well, this is deeply rooted in my life. It's not going to change in a moment's breakthrough. In reality, probably for most of us, it'll be a period of pressing in with the presence of God, and then God will break it to a certain level, and then we'll go to another level where we press in, and God will bring another breakthrough in our life, till we actually realise that it's so insequential that we just maintain our freedom over it. But we walk it out into maturity. But one of the things that's quite different is, for us to do that, we actually need to recognise that anxiety, that abandonment, has actually become rooted even within our physical body. So for me, I still deal with some level of anxiety, and I don't know the root of it, but I know it comes up. And that anxiety, if I allow it to come up in my soul, will make me start to think and start to try and affect my thoughts. God can't be trusted. People around you can't be trusted. All because I haven't learned how to, because that's not fully healed in my soul. It's not being fully just removed. So what we actually do is invite God. We welcome that anxiety. And God, I welcome this. Because it's telling me something about who I really am at the moment. It's not who I'm going to be forever. Some Mexican person's getting a phone call. But it's telling me that this is part of who I am. As I welcome that feeling, I now welcome the presence of God even into my physical body. So rather than thinking put off, put on, that's about our thinking. But in our emotions, it's allow our soul to be transformed. By bringing in the presence of God, not to be ashamed of what I'm struggling with, but to say, God, I welcome you along with what I'm struggling with. And I invite your presence to come and minister to my heart. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that anxiety. I'm not going to fear it. But I'm going to start to live with an intention to the fact that as I allow you to visit me in the valley of Baca, you are going to become bigger and stronger than what got me into the valley, and what I had to deal with in the valley. And I will come out the other side experiencing there is a spring of life that grew in the valley. There is a wellspring in my life now, that I may have moments where that anxiety returns, but it no longer owns me. And it's not religious. I do not have to go, I don't have that problem. I don't have to put my Christianese on. I can be real enough to go, that is something that tries to have a go at me. But I have learned that God is bigger in it because He has met me in the lonely places. He's met me where I've had to cry because no one else came. He's met me where I have felt broken. And rather than reject me, He has met me and He's abided with me. It wasn't some super transformational experience. I know many people go to church and God bless them if they genuinely went through it. But Jesus turned up and He did this, this and this. I still find the most profound thing in life, beyond any prophecy that you will get, beyond any experience or any angel you will see, the still small voice in my heart when I need it will shift mountains more than any prayer, more than any angel, more than any word. When I know that God is able to come up close to me and whisper into my life words that shape and change and speak of who I am to Him, nothing else causes me to fear. Nothing else causes me to feel a lack. Because when I know it's His voice, that supersedes everything else. And I know out of that I can get up. As the psalmist wrote, I can get up and go, today I'm not just going to have the spring of life, but I can stand up with His favour and His face facing me, even though I'm not perfect. I still have to hold this intention that He is greater. But right now, today, I can call the rain down on whatever I need in my family. I can call the rain down whatever I need in my life. And that valley becomes filled with pools of water. That valley becomes a place where I know what it's like to put down the presence of God and know what it's like to live in the power of God and the favour of God and the presence of God. So I'm not afraid to come into the valley. And next time I get dragged down into that, there was something come and hit me from the left field and I wasn't ready for it. I know I'm going to come out the other side because the same God that took me through the valley will be the same God that takes me out the next time. I know what it's like to pull down the rain of refreshing. I'm not limited anymore by what got me there. I'm actually empowered by the fact that I actually know what it's like to stand there in a rotten place and experience God. I don't need to be out of a rotten place to experience God. I just need God in the rotten place. Until this starts to look more like God's place than the devil ever set it up to be. And I stand there in the pools of God's living water going, come on devil, we're having a party. Don't you want to join in? We have put to shame what you set up to shame me. You try to put shame over my life. I now have the presence of God, and I've invited Him into my shame until He became more valuable and more real than my religious ways of trying to handle what I was never supposed to handle. Jesus said, in this life, trouble's going to come, but I will show you how to handle it. Come to a I love pulling apart Scripture because there's almost so much in it. So blessed is the man whose strength is in the Lord, whose heart is set on pilgrimage or a journey. You've got to know that before you end up in the valley. We need to be real about the fact we are going to go into the valley. There's not like a place of immunity in God, is there? Jesus went to the cross at the summit of his successful ministry. He went to the cross. He went to the garden. He went to the depths of humanity. We are not being set up to be removed from pain. We're being set up to be sent back to minister to other people in pain. Minister to other people who don't know the way out. We're not going to be set up for our comfort, but we are being set up to be empowered for our deliverance and the ability to deliver others. So blessed is the man, the woman, who settles in their heart, I am on a journey, I am on a pilgrimage to know God on the mountain and in the valley, in the bitterness and in the joy, until where I am becomes as God. Because I live in heaven and I live on earth, and I'm going to bring heaven to earth. We all want to sing the songs, we all want to have the revival meeting and put the banner up for the public to come. But when they come, will they find us victorious in our valleys when we're shaking our hand at the door, or are we doing Christianese? For my part, I have been a fraud many times, putting on a facade of what I don't possess. Because maybe I didn't want you to know who I really am, where I'm really at. Because I'm not dealing with God honestly. Otherwise I would trust you. I mean, man, if my heart's in God's hands, I can trust you guys. Because He's overlooking all of that. But if I have really consecrated my heart into His hands, I can't trust you either. I had come to that admission in the last year. I went to God and I said, well, I've been avoiding this statement because I really didn't want to. I didn't want to admit it, but also didn't want to offend you, God. 39 years later, I got to tell you, God, I do not fully trust you. I don't just mean like that as something you say in church and someone has an audible. I mean, I really, really had concerns. God, I have been beaten up. I have been laid low. I have been humiliated. I have been wiped out several times. I have not found that did not happen. I don't want anyone to raise their hand, but many of us would say, I've not found this has been a protected position. I thought I would come to a place where I was here long enough and did enough that you would look after me and those things wouldn't happen to me. But I forgot that Jesus went through even worse and smiled and said, don't worry, I've got your back. And I had to come to that place where I said to him, God, I don't trust you. I fear you. I fear that sometimes things happen that I can't cope with. And I didn't think they would happen. I fear that you might ask me to go through things that I can't cope with. And I've really struggled with making that admission. I really struggled. I mean, as I said, I'm not talking about any church service motivated by music. This was brewing inside of me deep for a long time. And I was ashamed that it was inside of me. I was not comfortable. It's not what you want to say to the one who gave his life for you, who can be trusted. But I had to deal with it. I had to be honest. I had to take that fear to the mat. I had to admit the emotions and the physical feelings I felt when that fear was there. And I felt on my own. I felt unprotected. Yes, I have a background in abandonment and rejection and different forms of abuse. But that's irrelevant compared to God. He is so much greater, so much bigger. I'm now looking at Him going, you who died for me, I'm struggling. And I did not go to that conversation once. I knew the moment I was going to say it, I had to stay in the conversation until the conversation held no fear for me anymore. Until I was honest enough to say it. Until it had come to a place of honesty where I could not only own it, but I could say, I don't want to be there. I never wanted to be like that. But then, you know, when you can sometimes make conversations with God and say, God, this is what I want to give you. But please don't reply. Please don't reply. I'm not ready to handle the reply. I'm telling you right right now, I'm not ready for the conversation. If you speak back and tell me something, I'm not even ready for that. I would be undone. I feel so at risk, so broken. I want to start the journey and I want to own it. And I want you to do something that this is not who I am anymore. Because you are too fabulous, too wonderful, too loving for me to keep this hidden in my heart, pretending by whatever number of years I'm around for, it will work itself out. It won't. By working it out. I need to own it. And my favourite place of soaking is in the bathtub. I'll be honest. There you go, my secret. And I turn on my soaking tapes and I shut the door. And I'm not alone, but Chris Flotton is quite a well-known soaker. But I would just get in there and talk the presence of God. Even when God turns up, that anxiety will immediately pop up. What will he say about it? I've been rejected by so many people. I don't want to sound, I'm not living in rejection more. But what I mean is, to think that God might reject you is the ultimate rejection. I mean that from the point of view. Let's be honest, if I think that God can reject me, then I had no value at all. Whereas I was going, well, I've been a good husband, I've done this, I must have some value. But then when you look into God's face and you go, I can't be honest with you, I really need to admit, this was supposed to be the first one, not the last one I did. And he has met me and met me. And it is an ongoing journey. But I know what it's like to admit it is a journey, that I will pass through the valley. You will pass through. You deal with the things, whether it be by unforgiveness or hurt or emotions that rage out of control. Because let's face it, they are causing you to make wrong decisions every day. You won't even hit the assignment God has for you while those filters are the ones guiding you. You will go amiss. You will go off target. Because they will deflect you to a perverted version of what you're called to, because the person you're seeing as God is perverted from who he is. It's not that if I held those things in my heart without being honest with him, I am holding to a perverted version of who he is, so therefore he will lead me in perverted ways. Of course, wrong understandings, wrong attitudes, wrong interpretations of his love. And I will misjudge the things he does in kindness to me as enmity to me. I need to deal with that because my whole future depends on what I do with my heart. Until I make it a spring, I set my mind, and then the spring becomes a source of satisfaction in my life. That no enemy, no story, no experience, no harm, no foul, no setup, no robbery, no injustice is going to take from me. And I sit there and I do it over and over again until I fill this desert with pools of water. I fill this anxiety with pools of trust, till I fill this emptiness with pools of his presence, till I fill everything I need to know about him with the knowledge of him. And I'll stay there and I'll stay there and I'll stay there, and I'll know what it's like to have springs and pools in the desert. And he gives me a number of promises out of this. They will go from strength to strength. Now this word strength here in this context is quite profound. It is strength as in the force of an army. You will become a force to be reckoned with over your enemies as you learn how to dig a well in the desert. You will not be not engaged. You will become against. But the strength to strength, you will become a force as in an army. It is also wealth, virtue, valor. This is the qualities that are resources that bring things into your life. This is not about I get through a struggle. This is about the fact I actually have the ability to produce the impossible in the natural. I have the ability to reproduce around me and attract around me people who bring significant change. I have the capacity to bring wealth to my family in terms of a wealth of inheritance, a wealth of love, a wealth of whatever it is that they need. I have that capacity in the strength that God will transition me into. And then he gives an even greater promise. He said, each one appears before God in Zion. I mean, you've been in Robert Henderson stuff. We're talking about going up into the mountain of God. You're going to appear before God in the congregation, going, this is one of my overcomers. That's the ones who appear before God in the mountain of Zion. He says, Jeff, you're becoming an overcomer. Sally, you're becoming an overcomer. John, you're becoming an overcomer. You are becoming one I recognize that stands near me in the congregation as one that comes up, who stands often in front of me in the congregation. This is one that's becoming that I'm going to put my presence on, put my strength on, put my power on, because they're coming before me, because they've gone through the desert, they've learned how to come out the other side, they're bringing the presence of God into difficult and impossible situations, and no one is like who their God really is. God doesn't want a whole bunch of people close to him in the congregation who don't even know who he is. That's called Babylon. So that's religion. He wants those in intimate relationship who overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, not by their own strength, but by the grace and forgiveness of God. That word appears before God is also very interesting. Yes, it says look and see and perceive, but it's also the word seer. This is people who will see God in many ways, many forms. Their eyes are going to be opened. This, when we're in a tough situation, we feel encompassed about, entrapped, and in a small place. We start to lower our expectation down. Any word, God, just send me any message. Let anyone give me a word saying, I'm getting the heck out of here. But those who come before God with a breakthrough on their life, who are overcomers, their vision is open to see anything that is a part of God. Their vision is open to see God as he really is. As Moses came near God, as he dealt with the stuff that God kept putting in his life and the difficult people God gave him to lead, God kept going, let me show you, let me show you, let me show you. He experienced realms of glory. It wasn't just because he was called to lead the people. He went through the tough times. He went through the bitter waters. He went through the people testing him. He went to God on the mat time and time again. And God says, this is the kind of person who appears before me. And if you have the eyes of your Father upon you, you have his delight, don't you? You have his delight. And now it's really, really easy because I know his heart. And he just smiles at me and I know what he's saying about me. I know what he's thinking about me. And no one's going to get in the way of that. No pain, no disappointment. The promises are so precious. They're so precious. He is so real. But the way in, Jesus says the way. Jesus talked about the way of life. It's narrow. It's on your knees. They used to talk about the eye of the camel, Jesus talked about. It was a hole in the wall that the camels used to have to unload all the baggage off and kneel down and come through what they called the eye of the camel, where this way so the enemies couldn't attack at night. It was a little shaky thing that the camels had to unpack. All the burdens had to come off. All the stuff had to come off. And on their knees they would be led through the eye of the camel into the city for protection. Jesus said, I'm the way. The way is narrow. You're going to need to get on your knees over and over and over again. But by God, you can sing like mad on your knees, can't you? By God, you can rejoice. You can make your enemies just pierce their rotten ears. You shatter the hell out of hell when you're on your knees and you are singing in victory because he has become everything, not because of the formula, but because of the experience. Amen? Amen? That's what we want, isn't it? That's what we're living for. That's the God we give our life for. For heaven's sake, I would not give $5 for religion. It's not worth much, honestly. Bondage and no delivered outcomes, no joy. But for God, for experiencing Jesus, I would give my life, and I have. And so have you. And today, as we close this part, just invite you just to bow your head. Let's take a moment. Let's allow God to speak to our situations. Perhaps as I was sharing, there are things you're thinking of that are strong disappointments. Perhaps there are strong things that have been too strong for you. Maybe you've settled that they're going to be there. Your life is limited by those things. That is not the invitation He gave you. He said, come, follow me. He said, I died in your place and paid the price that you would be free. He did not say some of you. He said you. He called each one of us by name. By name He called you and I. Today, Father, we just look to you. We just ask that if we have held offences, if we've held regrets, if we've held disappointment, we've held rejection or anxiety or abandonment or anger, held anything that's caused us to rewrite your story, Lord, we give you permission to deal with us and help us rip it up, burn the thing in the fires of hell. Let every lie that's come into our life be exposed. Lord, we ask to come into greater light. Even as Paul prayed, we would enter into glorious light. Lord, let every shadow be lit up, every closed room be opened wide. Turn on the searchlight of your Holy Spirit, of your word. Put in us a fresh passion to spend time in your word. And we open ourselves to conviction by your word. But we're hungry for the reality of you. For some of us, we realise we have formed an agreement with a lesser God. It wasn't you. Lord, for that idolatry, we just repent. We have made you small. Made you of no effect. I'm just so sorry. I should forgive us, cleanse us, Lord, by your blood. We want to encounter you, want to know you. It is so desperate for the reality of you. Or make us even hungry for that reality. Lord, some of us have lost our passion because those things have held us in stasis, in numbed. But Lord, we need passion returned to our lives. You don't get through any problems without passion. So Lord, we ask for a passion to burn. Holy Spirit, would you burn a fresh passion in us? Set a fresh fire inside of us. Burn up the dross, Lord. Lord, to smash every shackle that holds us bound. Smash it. We're meant to be dancing, leaping, throwing rocks at those rock shackles, hanging up outside. Lord, we thank you that you today bring great victory to our lives, great blessing to our lives, that the grace of God will be made of great effect in us for the praise and glory of Jesus' name. That the cross would have power because it lives in us. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. The promises of God are to lead us into the freedom comes because we know our God. Those that know their God are valiant, able to boldly do things that other people are trapped to stay in for all their lives. That's why the message of Isaiah 61, Luke 4, Jesus said, I have come with good news. All the captives can go free. All those held in bondage can go free. He wants to proclaim that power again in the church. He's coming to us first, that we would deal with our stuff. We would make the gospel of full effect in our own life. That we would preach the same gospel that Jesus preached and live to pay the price for the same gospel. Not be ashamed where I've failed. Not bear shame. Forgive us, God, if we've been ashamed of you, my God. We hold you in highest esteem, Lord. We want to come back to the foot of the cross. We thank you for that, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Praise God. I want to pray for a person who has a problem with their eye. So in the worship they had a sense of something, a problem with their eye, with their pain, the eye damage to your eye, maybe weak side. Someone here who's got a problem with their eye. Besides, take your glasses. Come on out. I'm going to put the mic down because I can't hold it everything else.
Wisdom leading through to gift. Even as Solomon away all, show all the things that God put in his house. All that God put inside of you, God's going to show you all the things in life. So you wait on the Lord. Waiting on the Lord. Waiting. Bless you. It's also a problem that you bringing thoughts. Everything you want to do is release the power of God. God and great for God. Thank God you have spirit of rebellion, you know, the life in here. Great Lord. Great that you release healing, both emotionally and physically. The warrior of fear. We hear you bow, bow, great power. Get off. Release the emotion. Let's see God reaching you with small memories. And He's going to make you empowered with those memories away. So that, like the desperate thing that you look at, God will never be like not like going to be forward in the plain way. Those memories happen.
So I want to, if you need to go, if you want to quietly slip cupboards, sorry Danny, I know it. If you want to quietly have a cupboard, we will continue to pray for people. Host communion, yes, don't go anywhere. Thank you. Tell visitor. Thank you. My great help. Can you help serve? Come on. Make it cute, or you want to stay if you want. No? If you want to help serve as well. If you want to come up and get it from this gentleman, this is the way you normally do it. And then if we can hold it together, I just want to pray over that before we do partake of communion. Because it's been a certain time in the Lord today, and I just want to use communion as part of that as well. Bless you. So if you want to come up and take communion, they'll bring it around to you. Bless you. Thank you, Lord. I feel it's been a bit of a solemn time in God. as we stand, I might just sing one of those things that sort of reminds me of those old hymns. Sing hallelujah to the Lord. Let's stand together. There you go. Sing hallelujah to the Lord. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah to the Lord. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah to the Lord. Sing hallelujah to the Lord. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah to the Lord. Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen from the dead. Jesus is risen from the dead. Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen from the dead. Lord, we honor you. We honor you, Jesus. Thank you for bearing our sin, our weaknesses, even the very weaknesses we've discussed today. You bore every one of those weaknesses. Long before we were attracted in those things, you bore them to the cross so that we would already be, even in our defeat, we would be standing in the victory that you won for us. And we pick up this body and blood and we declare your victory over everything that comes against us, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything, Lord God. Your victory has been lifted high and is over us, our banner, over the very bodies that we have, over the minds that we have, Lord God. Every area that we've been tormented and afflicted in this life, you brought victory through the cross. And today we take the emblems up and say, thank you, Lord, for the bread. Your body broken, that these bodies prayed for today would be healed, will be totally healed today, Lord God. Every hand, everybody we laid hands on today will be totally healed in the name of Jesus. We thank you for the blood, the wine that washes us, Lord God, to where we were the Samaritan, we were the person beaten up and rescued by the Samaritan, Lord God, the bruising that we received, the batters we received, the areas we've been wounded and afflicted and affected, Lord God, in our souls and in our emotions, Lord God. We thank you that you have bandaged us up by the blood and the wine that you poured out of your own very body. We thank you, Lord God, that no matter what afflicts us today, there is healing right now in the blood of Jesus for each and every one of us. So thank you, and we declare the power of it as we take it together in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Lord. We'll take it together. Thank you, Lord. Well, we bless those that are going to have a cover. We bless everyone. And if you need prayer for healing, I'm going to keep praying for some people. Thank you so much for having me come and visit with you. We are back in 2 weeks' time. You'll actually see my wife with me for a change. For the core members of this church, we're going to have a special time together, which Suzette will go into a bit more on next week. So thanks so much for having me. I'm going to keep praying. Bless you.